Hello, my name is Matthew Wooliver, and I'm going to be talking to you today about the Taser. This particular model is the X26. That's 50,000 volts that pulses at 19 times a second that can potentially be going through your body. I've been a police officer for over 12 years. I have carried a Taser for over 4 years and been a certified end user for over 4 years. And I've also been a Taser instructor for the last 2 years. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the history of the Taser X26, the Taser itself, where it came from, where it originated. I'd also like to talk to you a little bit about how the Taser works. And then also I'd like to ultimately end by telling you how you can get this technology yourself as a civilian. You can use this technology to defend yourself, your life, potentially your family's life if need be. This technology is available primarily to law enforcement. This Taser X26 model is only marketed to law enforcement. Like I said just a moment ago, there is a civilian model or civilian version. These tasers are used primarily to gain compliance from persons that are actively resisting. The difference between actively resisting and passively resisting is that in active resistance, someone is actually using force to try to keep from being apprehended or being arrested. These tasers were developed to lessen the event of an injury to officers or to potential suspects so that they're not injured during the process of trying to apprehend them. A little bit of history about the Taser. It all started with a gentleman. His name was John Cover. Mr. John Cover was an astrophysicist for NASA. He worked on the Apollo moon landing mission. Mr. Cover, after hearing the president talk back in the 60s about crime rates going up around the country, criminals becoming more dangerous and harder to apprehend, Mr. Cover took it upon himself to kind of think about what he had used or what he had seen in his time at NASA. He had also heard a story about an electrical lineman that was working on electrical lines, and he was incapacitated when he was shocked or electrocuted by those electrical lines. You know, who would have thought that a NASA space engineer who had seen a story about somebody being electrocuted, that would ever be put together for one of the most amazing technologies, one of the most useful technologies, especially in law enforcement, to come along in the last 50 years. According to the Atlas of Conducted Electrical Energy and Weapon Wounds and Forensic Analysis, John Cover didn't have too much success with the original Taser. The original Taser used gunpowder as the propellant to propel the probes. And of course the batteries that it used to conduct electricity were very, very large and very, very cumbersome and heavy. Mr. Cover ultimately never had a lot of success with his version of the Taser, even though he filed and was awarded a patent back in 1973. Ultimately, his invention, his idea, would many, many years down the line after it was sold, turn into the product that you see right here before me today. It wasn't until 1993 that the Taser really took off. At that time, Mr. Cover sold the patent and sold the designs for his Taser to a set of brothers that were out of Arizona. Their names are Tom and Rick Smith. Tom and Rick Smith bought the patent, bought the designs, took everything from Mr. Cover, and ultimately they started Taser International. In 1993, when those brothers started Taser International, you really couldn't imagine what the future was going to hold for law enforcement. Taser.com reports that the Taser is used by over 15,000 law enforcement agencies. The Taser website also tells us that during their research and development on the site, tells us a little bit about how the Taser works. It obviously looks like a normal gun. This item here on the end is the cartridge. The cartridge contains the probes. The probes are that shoot out. These different doors here are different colored, denoting how far the actual Taser will reach or what range it's effective to. The green doors on this one are effective out to 25 feet. Slate.com, when talking about the cartridges, and this may have to do a little bit with John Cover and his background being a NASA astrophysicist and whatnot, is that even though gunpowder was used early on to propel the probes out of the cartridge, they're now used with compressed nitrogen. I don't know how much of an effect he did or didn't have on that redesign, but there's a little capsule of compressed nitrogen that's in this cartridge that when the trigger is pulled and the arc happens, that's what fires the nitrogen capsule that propels the probes out of the cartridge. Intro to Psych.com tells us that basically the reason the Taser works is because it causes NMI, or neuromuscular incapacitation. Neuromuscular incapacitation is what you see after someone's been tased. It basically mimics the same neurons and receptors of the brain. The Taser signal, that is, the electricity mimics those signals and overrides the system. Therefore, someone is basically neurologically muscular incapacitated. They can't move, they seize up, you may hear them yell out. And at that point, we as officers can handcuff them without the risk of being shocked ourselves. It's what they call cuffing under power. I'd like to thank you for letting me talk to you a little bit today about the Taser. Ultimately, I believe that the Taser is a wonderful tool. It's very, very useful in law enforcement. Some persons in the public may have a little bit of a controversial view about the Taser, but I have witnessed the Taser not only save lives, but it has also kept people, not only other officers, but suspects as well, from being even more seriously injured than they may not have been if a Taser had not been used or deployed. I would suggest to you that if you're not a person that likes firearms or carry firearms, they have a civilian model of the Taser. And I don't want to plug Taser.com or anything, but you can go to Taser.com and learn more about the civilian models that are available to you. I'm not saying that a Taser replaces the gun in any way, shape, or form. It's just that if you're a member of the public and you don't like firearms, you have small children, whatever the reason may be, I encourage you to look at this technology. You can own it as a civilian. It's safe, it's effective, and it may just one day save your life. Thank you for your time today, and I appreciate you viewing my speech.